Hello everyone, welcome back. This is a new lecture in your course Mastering Ansible by Avionics. My name is Ahmed. In the previous lecture we have seen how we can upload files and directories to the remote server, and we have seen the difference between using a slash after the name of the source directory and not using a slash. The first is going to transfer the contents of the directory to the remote server, and the second is going to transfer the whole directory with its contents to the remote server. And Ansible also has more advanced modules for more complex file transfer operations. If you want to explore them, they are called synchronize and rsync, and these are used when you want to copy like hundreds or thousands of files with many levels of nested directories. Synchronize and rsync may be a better option for you. Now let's have a look at how to download files and directories from the server, from the remote server. The fetch module is used by Ansible for downloading files and directories to the local machine from remote servers. But to handle the issue of having multiple files with the same name downloaded from several servers, fetch by default creates a directory with the name or the IP address of the remote server in which it places the download file or directory. So let's see that in action. Okay, now we are on our remote machine. We still are on the web server. Let's exit, clear the screen, and let's say that we want to download the /etc/hosts file from all the servers that are configured in our inventory. To do this, we are going to use Ansible all-m fetch for the name of the module, and -a source is /etc/hosts, and the destination, let's say /temp. Pressing enter is going to print out the results. They are successful. But if you have a look now at the contents of /temp, you're going to find that I have two directories, each with the name or the IP address of the remote server, and that of course is depending on the way you define these servers in the /etc/ansible/hosts. If you have a look at the first one of them, for example, the web server that is having the IP of .20, you're gonna find that I have /etc/hosts. So notice that it also creates a similar directory tree under the destination directory that is under the IP address or the name of the server. So it not only creates a directory with the name of the server, it also mimics or recreates the directory tree under this server in order to ensure that no name collision would occur if you downloaded files of the same name from the same server, for example. So this is one of the marvelous features of Ansible. With one command, you can download as much files as you need from your remote servers, and Ansible will correctly organize them so that files do not overwrite each other. Now let's see how we can create and delete files and directories. In order to create a file on the remote machine, you've probably guessed that we're going to use a module that is called file, for example, like this. However, file, it cannot be used to create a new file, a new empty file on the remote machine. So if I use the command like this, Ansible web-m file-a destination or path, both are the same parameter, and let's say /home/vagrant/new file.text. Perhaps I want to create a new empty file that is called new file.text. If I issue the command like this, it's gonna give me an error. Why? Because /home/vagrant/new file.text is absent, so it cannot continue. That is because the file module by default expects to have this file present at the remote machine before it starts interacting with it. So if I want to create a new empty file, I would have to use another module, which is surprisingly copy. I will use copy, and I will use a second parameter together with destination, which is called content, and content is empty. Okay, so this is going to create a new file that is called new file.text under /home/vagrant, and it's going to place no content in this file, so it's going to be an empty file. But notice here that we used, sorry, this has to be here, so it's Ansible web-m copy instead of file. Notice here that we're using the copy module instead of the file module. Pressing enter now is going to create our file. It's going to make our intended result, which is creating an empty file under /vagrant, under /home/vagrant/new file.text. Now once this file is created, you can use the file module now to control this file the way you want. So let's clear the screen and let's write Ansible web-m file, and now you can control the attributes of the file. Just give it the path or the destination, dest. They are both the same thing. So /home/vagrant/new file.txt, and then I can change any of the file attributes as follows. Let's say, for example, that I want to change the ownership of this file to be owned by CI dev user instead of the vagrant by default. And let's say that I want to also change the group to be owned by developers, the group that we have created in this section. And let's say that I want the mode to be 700 for read write execute for the owner, no permissions for the group, and no permissions for others. And because I'm gonna change the file permissions, I will have to act as an admin user. So I'll have to add -b for become to use the sudo account or to use the root account when Ansible runs this command on the remote machine. Okay, and this has to be before -m. -m always precedes the type of module. Press enter, and okay, it has changed the permissions and the ownership of the file. Let's double check. If you have a look here, we have a new file, and it has read write execute for the owner and no permissions for group or others. And the file, as you can see, is empty. Okay, of course I'm denied access because this is now owned by CI dev while I am vagrant. But if you have a look at the space consumed by the file, it's 0, so this denotes that this is an empty file. And an interesting parameter that can be passed to the file module is called the state. And the state here defines the type of object that you want to play with. Because if you don't already know, a directory is a type of file. It's just a special type of file that it happens to be able to contain other files. So a directory is treated by the operating system as a file, and so as Ansible is treating it or controlling it also with the file module. So for that reason, the state can be used to define the type of object that the file module is going to be dealing with. So let's see how we can use this state parameter. Ansible web-m file-a source is /etc/hosts, and let's say that I want to create a symbolic link from this file, from /etc/hosts. I want to create a symbolic link, and a symbolic link in Linux is like a shortcut to the file. I want to create a soft link, so I'm gonna pass the destination to be /temp/hosts, and now I want to inform Ansible that the type of this file is going to be a symbolic link. So I'm gonna use state, and the state is link. Now I press enter. Okay, I may have a typo here. Source equals /etc/hosts. Okay, and the symbolic link has been created. If you want to double check, let's have a look at our web server machine. And if I have a look at /temp/hosts, you're gonna find that it's just the color is bright. I can see that /temp/hosts is a symbolic link to /etc/hosts. So as you can see here, this is how the state parameter can be used. It can also be used to delete a file or a directory, like for example Ansible web-m file-a path. Let's say that I want to delete the file that we have just created, which was called new file.txt. And this can be done by specifying that the state is absent. If I press enter, as you can see here, it successfully deleted the file. And if you're wondering why it was able to delete the file, although I did not use the -b and the file was owned by CI dev, that is because the parent directory of the file is owned by Vagrant. And if you want to delete a file in Linux, you will have to have write access on the parent directory, not on the file itself. So because of that, I was able to delete the file using the Vagrant account alone, without having to use the sudo command or without having to be granted special privileges. So if you want to double check, Just let's SSH to the remote machine, and if I ls now, I can see that I have no files no longer on the /home/vagrant directory. And as we said, the file module can be used to work with directories as well as files. Let's see how we can create a new directory using the file module. It's as simple as using Ansible web, for example, for the group -m file -a, and notice here that I'm using the file module to create a new directory. The only special situation I used is when creating an empty file, and that was by using the copy command. The copy command will create a new file if it does not exist. The file command will not create a new file if it does not exist, but it will create a directory. So let's see, the path is /home/vagrant/ let's say new dir for new directory. Let's set the mode for this directory to be 700. Let's set the owner to be CIDev, and let's set the group to be developers. Pressing enter. Okay, and I forgot to add the state. State is a directory, and that is the difference between creating a file and creating a directory. Now, there is no way for Ansible to determine whether this is going to be a file or a directory. I'm using the file module, so this might be a file or a directory only by adding the state to the end of the command, only by adding the state parameter to the list of parameters that are going to be passed to the module, will Ansible be able to determine what is this object. If I press enter now, and okay, I may have to use the -b to change the permissions, because this needs elevated privileges. Okay, and now yes, it has created the directory successfully, and it has changed its attributes. If you log into the server, you can see that you now have a directory on your machine, on your /home/vagrant, that is called new dir, and it's owned by CIDev user and developers group. Finally, let's delete this directory by also using the file module. So it's Ansible -b-m web-m file-a, path is /home/vagrant/new dir. State here is absent, and Ansible here won't care if this is a file or a directory. As long as the state is absent, it is going to delete what is in the path. So if I press enter, and because I'm deleting a directory that is not owned by Vagrant, I will have to use the -b for the root privileges, and okay, it has deleted the directory successfully. And that brings us to the end of this lecture. So until then, see you next.